Sixth Banner Podcast with your hosts, PCV the Fourth and Neill Dunne.
Welcome to the Six Banner podcast. Oh, I don't know what I was trying to say there, but welcome to episode 10. It is an anniversary episode. We're doing it big. We're doing it strong. We're doing it long. Just like, I'm going to let this one go. But it is going to be an awesome episode. Season in review. Very excited to be here with my man, Neill. Neill, how are you doing, bro?
I am doing good. I was expecting to get some sleep this week, but you know, with the importance of the play-in situation, I actually ended up getting very little sleep this week. But it's all good. It's all good, and we're going to talk about it very shortly. How are you doing?
I'm good. I may or may not have had maybe a little bit to do with last night. That's my bad. Sorry.
Yeah, well, you know, you started texting me about the game. I was like, feck it, I might as well just get up and watch it.
Yeah. Yep. Luckily, you know, the later game turned out just the way we wanted, man. 2 first-round picks. I'm absolutely thrilled about it, man. It's pretty badass. And
It sure is.
You know, actually, why should I waste my breath when it's part of our first segment? So, without further ado, let's do this thing.
Feelin Horny.
So, what was that?
I was going to talk and then you started talking, so you know we just had an awkward moment, but that's all right. No, I was just going to say, yeah, no, and that's what's got us feeling horny is exactly what you were talking about, is the fact that the Blazers came through good for us.
Yep, big time, baby. Went from 6 to midnight watching that last night. Super pumped up to be a Chicago Trailblazer. You guys really came through for us. You know, I shout out to Jamal from Bull Central. He had a tweet that I thought was really awesome about all of this. And it's like, who would have thought that Lauri Markkanen trade, where we got a first round pick that everyone thought was like a fake first rounder because Portland looked like they were on the one-way track to hell, that they weren't going to be a team that was contending in the West anytime soon, and that it would eventually get relegated to a second round pick. But not only did it convey to a first round pick, it conveyed to a first-round pick in the best or in the highest possible slot 15. Cannot be any higher than that, right? And also, it did so in the draft that is the deepest since we made that trade, by all accounts. Everyone says that this is the deepest draft. So, man, couldn't have picked a better time. Definitely couldn't have had a better place. I'm fucking thrilled about it, man. Like, Good shit. Denny, I'm going to say his last name wrong, but Denny Avdija, I don't know how you say that.
Yeah, you said it wrong. Avdija?
How do you say it? How do you say it?
Avdija?
Avdija? Okay.
Yeah.
Denny Avdija, that sounds fake, but I mean, that guy should have been a Chicago Bull. He's actually just recording, like he was just on camera talking with other NBA players about it. I don't know if you've seen it, Neill, but he was like,
no,
you know, everybody thought that, you know, everyone knew that I was going to Chicago at pick 4. It was supposed to be a done deal. And then they take Patrick Williams, and nobody even knew who this guy was. Denny Avdija is saying this shit. I'm like, you know, this guy's also like still a fucking colleague of yours. Just making, but yeah, basically, you know, and he was saying like that was the reason for his fall was because like then there's, you know, well, this guy available, that guy's available, whatever. I can't remember what pick he ended up getting taken at, but you know, really, I guess I wish was on the team, but you know, the butterfly effect of all of that. Who knows then if we have Matas or Giddey? So things happen the way that they're supposed to. But he did come through for us last night in a big way. So
yes,
Denny, you might not play for the Bulls, but indirectly you did last night, buddy. So I hope it made you feel good.
He vicariously he was a Bull last night.
Yes, sir.
And I'll take that. And shout out to Jamal there as well. Fair play to our guy Jamal. That was well worded. And yeah, look, it's important to be able to take some bits of joy out of this season, because there has been some trying times where it's very, very difficult to find the positivity and the joy, which we try to do, of course, but it's not always easy. So fair play to Jamal, and we know from working with him on Bulls Without Borders and from following him for years that Jamal is really good at taking that balanced stance and trying to look at both sides of the coin. So
he is. There's a reason he is as popular as he is. Other than he's just very nuanced content creator, looks at everything objectively, and the sky isn't always falling with him, which I can appreciate, because it's tough to find that at times in this fan base. So there's a really bright future depending on how you want to look at what's going on with the Bulls right now. I mean, talking about feeling horny, I'm feeling horny about the future, man. Like we're sitting at 9-15 right now, right? I'm not sure how it works, how much we can get bumped down in the draft. I don't think
up to 15, I think, so the furthest we could go is 14. We can't take the position from between 5 to 8. We can jump to 1 to 4 though.
Right, but if all the teams that were behind us in the draft jumped us theoretically into the top 4, would that push us down 3 picks and we'd pick number 12? I can't remember how all of that works.
5 to 8 essentially doesn't move; they're locked.
Okay, right.
So if picks jump, then the picks that are 1 to 4 move back, and then theoretically, depending on where the lottery balls come out, we can be pushed back to I think 14 is the furthest we can go back, maybe 15, but definitely nothing worse than that. So it all depends on the lottery balls. The only ones that are a lock are 5 to 8.
Fair enough. Regardless, we're probably picking at 9-15. And more likely than not, it's going to be better than that, or then it would be worse than that. I mean, no matter what, we've got 2 top half of the first round picks, whatever. That's awesome. In a deep draft, we have a chance to get 2, definite difference makers. I mean, you'd like to think we could draft 2 starters, and hopefully, I mean, regardless of whether we jump up or not, even if we stayed at 9, hopefully that guy could be a star. You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, Matas Buzelis at 11, baby. I'm never going to let that go. So you got that. You've got $65 million in cap space, more cap room than any other team this offseason. No more AKME. We've got all our first rounders going forward. We've got an ass load of second rounders. No bad contracts outside of Patrick Williams' one bad contract. I mean, life is good. We got a few young guys, and Miller and Buzelis and Giddey. Dude, I don't know. I know people love to be down, about the Bulls in this fan base, but I'm not taking, when it comes to teams that need to get better or rebuild or need to take the next step, there's a lot of those teams. There's probably only 10 teams maybe in the NBA that you'd say are serious contenders. The rest of us are all just trying to get there. And I think the Bulls have a very real opportunity to, try and become one of those next contenders with where they stand right now. And I think it can happen a lot faster than people think. What if Buzelis takes his big time star leap next season? Then without anything else that's happened, that right there makes us, much better. So the future's bright, man. I'm excited.
It would also make us more attractive in free agency too. So
there you go. That's the other thing is, nobody wants to come play here. I think a lot of people would want to play with a point guard like Josh Giddey, who's going to get him, set them up for success every time on the offensive end. So,
right. Plus, one of the big things that's always come out that one of the reasons why it's unattractive to come and play in Chicago is because of front office, which is now gone. Potentially, they may or may not agree with the coach. The coach could make the decision this week to step away, and we could have a new coach come in. You have two potential rising stars in Madas and Giddy. It's been doom and gloom this season. I get that. There has been a lot to not enjoy about the season that we have just endured. But that being said, the future has hope. There is definitely hope for this team moving forward to potentially do a complete reset. The team is primed from top to bottom. Okay, not ownership. We'll take ownership out of the equation. But from front office all the way down, this team is primed for a full reset. And let's just see where it goes. Let's ride the crest of that wave together.
Hell yeah, baby! I'm gonna ride this shit like a wild steed, man. You know, I'm pumped. I'm so pumped that I'm making these crazy statements without knowing what in the hell I'm about to say. So, I'm excited. I really am. I feel like this is a new era. Like a new era is dawning of Bulls basketball. I think it's all on the table. All the possibilities lay open to us. And hell, man, if we get like a Caleb Wilson out of this draft, I'm going to smash my head through a wall and I might die because I might kill myself through the excitement. So
don't do that, because then you won't get to enjoy it.
You're right. But if maybe Jay Ivey will resurrect me and we'll be okay. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Anyways, moving on.
I just want to throw out one other little thing that's not necessarily got me feeling horny, but that I was happy to see. And that was last night. There was obviously two games last night. And the other game was the Hornets against the Heat. And despite a slow first half start for Kobe White came on in the second half, went on an absolute heater, scored some incredible threes and really brought that Hornets team back into the game. And they went on to win it by a point in overtime. And it was great for Kobe because there's no ill will towards Kobe White from us. It was great to see Kobe finally get over that hump against the Heat, that Heat bump. I'm delighted he could finally get there. I don't know how much further they'll get. They still have to play the second game to actually get into the playoffs. But
no, I think they're in now, aren't they?
No, they're not.
Are we sure? I thought that was the 7-8 matchup.
No, Portland are in.
Sorry, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was 9-10. That was 9-10. The Heat and Hornets were 9-10. Okay.
So the Hornets now have to play the Suns to get in.
No, that's East-West. Like the East 7-8.
Yes, sorry, I'm mixing the two. Sorry, yeah.
The East
the
7-8
Hornets have to
play
whoever wins out of the other game. Yeah. You're right.
All good, bro. But definitely happy for Kobe. I'm gonna be a little bit of a hater and say like, where was that last year? But I'm just playing. I'm happy for Kobe. It's like, you see him make that big three to like send them to overtime. I'm like, huh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Where did you go?
What just happened to my camera?
I don't know. Where did you go?
Did my camera die? Yo, just
I don't know, but you literally just jumped off my screen.
Yeah,
and not in a good way.
I have to replace my battery. Keep talking. I'll be right back.
Okay. So obviously we've lost Phil, technical difficulties. So I'll keep this going. So I mean, and that's pretty much it out of what's got us feeling horny. So let's see what's upsetting us at the moment with our Raging Bulls.
Raging Bulls.
So with Raging Bulls, while Phil gets himself sorted, the big thing that we wanted to talk about in regards to Raging Bulls is the Billy Donovan news. Now, Billy Donovan has been given the opportunity, shall we say, by Michael Reinsdorf from his press conference that he made after letting AKME go, that It is up to Billy Donovan whether or not he remains in place as the Chicago Bulls head coach. Oh, there he is. And I know, Phil, you had a lot that you wanted to say about this. So I'm going to let you have the floor, and then I'm going to fill in with my take after that.
Yeah, so okay, Raging Bulls on Billy Donovan, and it's mostly because, after we recorded just now, did you break down how we recorded last season or last week before Michael Reinsdorf did his thing? So
Yes.
yeah. So, we talked about how the worst case scenario would be if Michael Reinsdorf actually made it a prerequisite of the job. And that's exactly what that son of a bitch did. He went on that interview and talked about how the Bulls would need to keep Billy Donovan for whatever general manager wanted to be the GM here, provided that Billy Donovan wanted to keep being the coach here.
Right.
That little asterisk is very important to us right now because, there's a very real chance that Billy Donovan decides to walk away. And if I may speak to you, Billy Donovan, right now, just please, God, please let us be free. Let us do this thing from scratch. I think better than your owner, unfortunately, that a true rebuild has to be a clean break, bottom up, 100%, we can't be hiring a GM with the caveat that they don't get to hire their own head coach. That's really going to take away. It's going to, even if it didn't take away all of the great candidates, it's going to take away some. And you really just want the whole pool to be available to you. You don't want to handicap yourself like that.
Correct.
Is it true that there could be a great GM candidate that really likes Billy and they take the job, and then yeah, that could happen. But like, why risk that? Like, I just don't like that risk. I don't want to be looking back. Like, if we hire someone who is forced to keep Billy and it doesn't work out, and we're looking back, in a few years at, where we wasted some time with Billy being our head coach, and we're like, hey, we could have done this thing the right way, and then, how much better off would we be right now? We don't want to be playing that what if game. We really need to be, going into this thing with all of our, locked and loaded with the fullest range of possibilities open to us. And yeah, thanks a lot, Michael Reinsdorf, because just when we wanted to believe in you, we were like ready to say like, hey, maybe this is a different kind of Reinsdorf. Like, this guy actually wants to play, wants to contend, actually felt, was saying some of the right things, but then he also said that Josh Giddey making that shot against the Lakers cost us Cooper Flagg. My God, my Lord. I did not know that our owner would be up there stating brain dead, dumbass stuff that is legitimately, objectively untrue. But there was our owner doing just that. So, gotta love that.
He also admitted that he'd been a hands-off owner for the last season or multiple seasons since AKME took over, and that was going to change. Too. Right. But that was going to change, and he's going to be more switched on, more clued in, and hopefully that means the brain is switched on a little bit more too. I'm hoping that's true, and that he pays a little more attention to what's going on in Chicago Bulls rather than what's going on somewhere else.
Yeah, I hope that's true too. But like, it's tough. I don't know. We'll see. I just the whole handicapping our GM search at all just really upsets me. And I will say that it does look like we're going to be free of Billy Donovan. I know this is Raging Bulls, but we can end this segment with a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. We could talk a little bit about a friend of ours, a friend of Bulls Without Borders, is Chicago Bulls beat reporter, the Clutch Point associate sports editor, Zachary Draves. Awesome dude. Has been on a couple of episodes with us. and he had this to tweet out there. We'll go back to this. You can expect without any real doubts that Billy Donovan's tenure as the Chicago Bulls head coach is coming to an end. So, he would go on to state that that's just him reading the tea leaves. He posted this today. As we wait to see what happens with Billy Donovan, I want to say as a clarification to my earlier comment was based on what I've been seeing being said by my colleagues on social media and not sourced reporting. Just reading the situation with the Bulls. So, even with the caveat though, he's saying that what he thinks to be true is that Billy will be leaving. And so it sounds like we're going to be saved. Michael Reinsdorf will be saved from himself by Billy Donovan. And if that's the case, we could walk away, happy and not completely, hateful of Billy Donovan. That'll give us a reason to actually, still have some love for him. And in the vein of that, we could put this guy right up here. He could be more like this Billy Donovan. And this is the Billy Donovan I'd like to remember, Neil. I don't know about you.
Yeah, our saint and savior, definitely. I just wish, like we were led to believe initially. Now it was never confirmed, but we were led to believe initially that the conversation with the Reinsdorfs was to be had on Monday, and everybody was really excited about that. And now it seems to have been pushed, kind of without an actual date, further
sometime
through the
this week, I think.
Yeah, sometime to the back end of the week, I believe was the way it was put. So I'd say it could be potentially, like today's Wednesday, so I'd say it could potentially be tomorrow or even Friday before we hear word. I really hope it doesn't push into next week, because I think time is of the essence. And if Billy is going to walk away, it's really important that the Reinsdorfs have as much time as possible between now and the decision-making processes that are ahead, like things like the combine and the actual draft itself. The lottery doesn't matter so much because there's no decisions to be made at that stage. But it's important that we have somebody in place as a coach, and preferably somebody in place as a GM at that point too.
Big time. Yeah, we've got to get the ball rolling on this thing. We can't, fiddle with our own, fiddles for too long. Exactly. We've got to take care of business. We talk about feeling horny, but you got to shit or get off the pot as well. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, without further ado, though, let's get to the really fun part of this episode.
Yeah, our season review, as it were.
One and done.
So this is a one and done season review special.
Super special.
So special. Special. So that being said, let's hit the big one first of all. Now, bearing in mind, there is two halves to this season, really special. Two halves to this season, really. Up until the trade window, when everybody left, and after that, when we got an entirely new roster. So we have to take that into consideration, but at the same time, a lot of that is going to be recency bias, no matter how hard you try against it. But for the Bulls MVP, which is the big one, the Bulls' most valuable player for the 25-26 season, we have picked it from three players who were here from start to finish. Yes. So the three players to consider are one Matas Buzelis, one Joshua Giddey, and one Trey Jones. So Phil,
yes.
Who would you choose as those out of those three to be our Bulls MVP this season, based on what you saw?
Based on what I've seen, it's a close race. We included Trey Jones, more or less because, one, there wasn't very many impactful Bulls players that were here all season together. It's really just those guys that deserve to be counted. But if we're being honest with ourselves, it's really a two-man race, and it is Matas Buzelis versus Josh Giddey. And while I am very impressed with Matas Buzelis' development, I think, especially, he was one of, I think only him and Victor Wembanyama were the Wembanyama, whatever I say, every name wrong, it's fine.
Just say Wemby.
Yeah, Wemby. Only him and Wemby are the players that are blocking like over 100 shots and making 100 3-pointers.
Yeah.
So he's got doing special things. He improved on both ends of the floor. Special, very special. But they're not quite as special as to me as what Josh Giddey is doing. To me, all of the wins, most of them, I know he wasn't healthy for every win, but almost every win, you could just like directly look at what Josh Giddey did for that game and be like, well, that was directly the reason why. He's setting up so many of his teammates. Were it not for his injuries disqualifying him from being on the season-ending stats list on NBA.com, he would have finished the season third in the NBA in assists per game. That's super impressive when the rest of your team isn't very good. Like, I mean, he's working with the below-average supporting cast, and yet he's still dropping 9.3 dimes a game last time I checked. Very easy to reason that he'll be dropping double-digit assists per game when we get a better team set around him.
Yes.
He passed Michael Jordan, I think, this season for most triple-doubles in a Bulls uniform. I think he did. I think so. I know he passed overall. I don't know if he passed in a Bulls uniform.
Okay.
Because the ones he had.
I don't think he passed Jordan yet as a Bull in triple doubles.
Right. But that's going to happen next season if we're just honest. And the dude's already arguably like the second greatest playmaker in Bulls history. Guy Rogers still owns that mark and probably will for a little bit. But, because for anyone who doesn't know, Guy Rogers in the 60s averaged 11 assists a game for a season. And that's like the top Bulls season for a playmaker of all time. But Josh Giddey did. He also had the second greatest month in Bulls history from a per game assist mark. Guy Rogers owns that monthly mark with 11 something in a game, but Giddey had a month. I think it was March, where he averaged over 10 assists a game. So like, just super impressive all season long. The best rebounding guard in the NBA. Got better at shooting. I think that Josh Giddey, what the hell?
We've lost you again.
What is going on?
We can still hear you if you want to just finish that thought.
Yeah, Josh Giddey, from top to bottom, to me, was the Bulls MVP. I mean, he got better at shooting. Overall, he was the Bulls' best player all season, and that's where I'll leave that. I've got another battery. Give me a second.
Okay, no problem. You work away on that. Yeah, no, I fully agree. It is a 2-horse race between Mattis and Giddey. Mattis, I think, definitely put up a stronger case for himself as the season went on. He certainly started to take on more of a leader role after the trade deadline, and knowing that expectation was put on him by Billy Donovan, and he absolutely embraced it. Is to be revered. It's definitely to be appreciated. But if you're going on a full season and you're looking at Giddey, who was near averaging triple doubles, who literally put the team on his back more often than not. I know Mattis did it towards the back end, but more often than not, it was Giddey that was doing it throughout the course of the season. And like you say, if he's actually playing with a more talented roster, his assist numbers are going to be much higher again. Plus, if he hadn't gone down with injury, I think we are genuinely sitting here at the end of the season talking about Josh Giddey being an all-star as well. If he hadn't been injured, then I genuinely think he would have been voted in as a coach's vote decision as an all-star. So for those reasons, my vote for Chicago Bulls MVP for the 25-26 season goes to Joshua Giddey. So that's the first one down, Phil. I don't know how far away you are from rejoining us. Oh, there you are.
There we go.
So there we go. Moving on to the next one then.
Sorry about
Bulls.
that, everybody.
No, it's okay. Sometimes it's better just to hear you and not see you anyway. Bulls most improved player is the next is the next one. So we've got 4 to choose from for this that we've shortlisted it to, and that's Matas Buzelis and Josh Giddey and Trey Jones again. But we've also thrown Jalen Smith into the mix as well. Again, for something like most improved, you kind of need to put it across the whole season. So we've tried to pick players that were here for pretty much the whole season. I know there were injuries that cut their numbers a bit short, but that's what we're looking at. So what do you think on the MIP race?
So for the most improved race, I would say, honestly, I'm going to go with Trey Jones. I believe that Trey Jones really took the biggest leap. I mean, he's become a player now, like, that when he scores 20, I'm not surprised. I would have never, ever said that before the season. Not even close. No, like, I think that all the players on our list definitely improved, like Matas, Giddey, Jalen Smith, all those guys improved. But I think just the jump of improvement from Trey Jones, I think, was more substantial. Like, he made himself into a guy where it was like, if he was starting at the 2, I didn't feel like it was like, I wasn't super bummed out about it. Whereas at the beginning of the season, I remember the game 1, he started because Kobe was out. Mm-hmm. And I was like, shit, like, I didn't feel good about that. Totally different feeling by the end of his season. I mean, at one of the most efficient months in all of the NBA in March, I think he made like 80 field goals in the paint in March. It was just crazy numbers. Dude's super efficient. His defense is good. That's my pick for most improved player. What say you, Neil?
What say I is, for me, if I look across the season from the start of the season to the way they finished the season, I think the biggest trajectory, the biggest leap for me was Matas Buzelis, because he went from being a sophomore player, coming out of his rookie season, still kind of looked like he was trying to learn the game a little bit and figure out exactly what his place was on this team, even though he knew what he wanted it to be. I mean, he started off the season saying he wanted to be MIP for the entire league. I think he had to temper those expectations as the season went on. But he did that. And not only did he do that, he embraced the role of leader for this team.
Did.
So for me, for him to go from a player who was finding his way to the alpha, especially when Giddey was injured at the back end of this season, and Matas emerged as the alpha player, the leader of this team. For me, that's just too big a leap to not give MIP vote to him.
Okay, fair enough. I think that's very. I think that's a very, I think that those are very fair thoughts. So, mm-hmm. I think either of them would be deserving of the award, but I will concede that for the purposes of our podcast, I think that, you make good points about him as a leader as well. So I have no problem bestowing the 6th banner most improved player officially to be Matas Buzelis.
I like it. I feel powerful.
Don't get too far ahead of yourself.
I know, there's a lot to go. So the next subject is the Bulls' sleeper hope for the future. So obviously, we've hoped for the future in the players we've already discussed, like Trey Jones and Matas Buzelis and Josh Giddey. I mean, they're the givens. They're the obvious ones. So we're talking about the ones that maybe are a little less on the radar. A little flying a little lower. So we shortlisted it down to Lenny Miller, Jalen Smith, Colin Sexton, Anthony Simons, who has said that he is considering his future, and that future may include a return to the Chicago Bulls next year.
Yep.
And finally, someone we did not see much of at all, but don't forget he's there. Don't sleep on him as a sleeper. And
don't
that's
sleep.
Noah Essengay. So, who is your sleeper hope for the future out of that shortlist?
So I would really like. I'd love nothing more than to give this to Noah Essengay because I thought that he showed a lot of promise. But I think a lot of that would be projection. And so while I think that he very well probably has the biggest ceiling on this list, but that's more or less because we haven't seen a whole ton of him, right? And so he's so young, and you gotta if you watched any of what he did in the G League, I mean, he was averaging like 20 some points a game. He was playing pretty well, but still, there's so much projection there, and so I'd rather, in my opinion, go towards a guy that showed a little more of it. And to me, it's Miller time, baby. I think it's Leonard Miller, man. I think the dude really showed a lot. I mean, he was consistently averaging like what 15 and 7. It felt like the whole end of the season. Impressive. It came out of nowhere. I really felt like he was. Yeah, I mean, 22-inch. Sorry, not 22. He's 22 years old, but he's got a 7'2" wingspan while being only 6'10". You see that wingspan pop up over and over throughout his game with his defense and his offensive rebounding, especially like offensive rebounding savant almost, man. I don't know if he'll be able to keep that kind of shit up all season, but if he could, it was really impressive how many offensive boards he was grabbing regularly. Like half his rebounds every night were offensive boards. And it was like, it's really impressive to see. The hustle was always there, up and down the court, like left his heart on the floor every time he played, in my opinion. Still has some room to improve. I think he has a lot of room to improve, and that's the exciting part is, he was producing, but I feel like there's definitely a lot of meat on the bone for him to continue to grow as a basketball player. So talk about a guy that came out of nowhere, and now I feel like there's a very real chance for him to compete for a starting position next year. Whoever, we draft, they're not going to have an easy time of it beating out Leonard Miller for that starting position. He's going to, if he puts in the work, you got to assume that his production at the end of the season is going to motivate him, and he should see that there's opportunity on this team for him to really grab a spot and, hump it into submission as what's his face from Dodgeball? Damn it, the coach. I can't remember his name, but
Ben Stiller's character.
No,
the
old man.
The
old man.
Yeah.
Damn, I can't remember his name, but
I'll get
it's
it.
okay.
You keep talking.
But yeah, I mean, Leonard Miller was balling all that whole end of the season. So I'm, other than that, Anthony Simons would also be really exciting to see him come back. I was surprised to hear him speak so high of Chicago. I think that goes to show the leadership in that locker room was actually pretty good considering how young they were. He was impressed by the way that the Bulls prepared every night and brought it. It's also kind of a low key, like a endorsement of Billy Donovan, but we just won't talk about that. But did you get the name of
if he decides to stay?
Yeah, right. Do you have the name of my guy?
Patches O'Houlihan.
Patches O'Houlihan. You hump it into submission, dude, and that's what you could do, Leonard Miller. You could take that roster spot and hump it into submission, dude. So, I don't know. Have I convinced you that he's our sleeper hope for the future?
You may well have. I do apologize for my really bad Rip Torn impression. I think from what we've got there, I think the hope with Anthony Simons is that he actually returns, but we didn't see enough of him to really get an idea of what he could be, and we definitely didn't see anything with him and Giddey working together.
Yeah, that's the big one right there, is how well can he work with Giddey.
Right, and I think that potentially that could really be quite dynamic. Yeah. But we will only see that if Anthony Simons decides to come back and if the Chicago Bulls front office that takes over decides that they want him back. So taking that out of it, the young Bull definitely impressed me. Colin Sexton took me a little while to warm up to him, as we've discussed here previously, but he certainly won me over. But for me, I am totally in agreement with you the sleeper hope for the future from this list is 100% Leonard Miller.
Miller time.
Like you say, he like snuck in there out of nowhere. It's like,
For real.
who are you? What are you doing on my team? Oh wow, you can ball. And that's what really impressed me. And for me, that is the epitome of a sleeper. So, he came out of nowhere and impressed me. So yeah, I'm behind that all the way.
I love it. There's one guy that it for sure wasn't, and that's Patrick Williams.
Down the bench. All the way down the bench.
Sleeper hope for sitting your ass on the bench, boy.
He's not a sleeper hope for the future. He's just a sleeper. He gets on the court and falls asleep.
I love it. That's a fact. But without further ado, we can move into our next category, which is our Chicago Bulls Defensive Player of the Year. And for this category, we have 4 names. And again, we tried to consider their entire season of contributions while also understanding that, there were just there's one guy on our list that wasn't there all season. But that's the thing, is that there wasn't that much great defense being played all season long. So for our list, we've got Trey Jones, Matas Buzelis, Isaac Okoro, and Nick Richards. And for this one, let me toss it to you, Neil. Tell me who yours is.
Well, I think, you can make a stand for all 4 of those players, to be fair. Even Richards, who wasn't here for that long, because it was the first time we actually saw someone who was a bit of a presence in the lane defensively.
Yeah.
He certainly protects the rim more than anyone we've seen in a very long time do that. I mean, you'd probably have to go right back to the Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah era, really, before you'd see someone who can actually stand there and be a presence in front of the rim. But that being said, it was too small a sample size for me, and also not enough of it when he was on the floor. Matas Buzelis, he needs to work on his defensive game a little bit more before he can be awarded this, in my opinion, because his help defense, his recovery defense is phenomenal. He was averaging, 1.4 blocks a game or something like that?
I think he got up to a block and a half, actually.
Block and a half per game, which is impressive. And he's a dynamic shot blocker as well, which is really exciting to watch.
He did grade out really high on isolation defense as well.
He did.
But
he was the top ISO player in the NBA at one point, wasn't he?
Yes, I think. I don't know if he ended there. Yeah, I don't know if he ended there, but still, there's still his talent tells you that there's still more there, in my opinion.
For sure. And that's why I'm saying I think he has hope to get this award in future seasons, but I don't think he's there yet. Trey Jones proved to be a phenomenal two-way player. He was a pest a lot of the time defensively, which I love to see.
Pretty sure he led the Bulls in steals per game. But...
yeah, I'm pretty sure he did too. But to give him his flowers, Isaac Okoro did very little right this season. But the one thing he did right was take on his role as the defensive stalwart for this team. He was given the most difficult defensive assignments, and he put himself out there and did what he could to make an impact on the defensive side of the ball every night he was out there. So I'm actually going to go for Isaac Okoro.
I like that you went there, because that was my thoughts too. I think you made a good case for everybody on the list. But yes, like I think Isaac Okoro, like you said, he took on the toughest assignment every night. So here's the thing: like sometimes when he was guarding this guy, like when you're guarding the other team's best offensive player, it doesn't always go your way. But there were enough games where he did. I mean, 9-1 against the Pistons was a great example. He drew Cade Cunningham, and the Bulls ended up winning that game with Cunningham shooting a poor percentage. And that Okoro drives me absolutely nuts on the offensive side of the ball, but defensively, he was the total package in my opinion. I mean, he put forth max effort. Was always giving those guys hell. More often than not, I think he was also outsized. I think a lot of the time he was drawing guys that were bigger than him, like bigger forwards type players. I think it's got to be him. I think, just objectively, he was our best defender all year, and that shows by who he was given every single night on assignment. So, don't know what your future looks like with the Bulls, Okoro, but I do know that you did bust your ass defensively, so I give you your flowers there.
Yeah, definitely. So the next award then, and it's actually our last official award, and that's for Sixth Man of the Year. Again, this is one of those tough ones because we had such a change midway or beyond midway through the season in regards to personnel. But we've tried to pick out the players that just fit the mold regardless of how many games they did or didn't play, right? So the Sixth Man of the Year list is Colin Sexton, Trey Jones, Leonard Miller, and Rob Dildo Baggins Dillingham.
Well, I can talk about him real quick, and it's definitely not Dillingham. I think we felt like we needed to put him in here. We probably could have put him in here as sleeper hope for the future too, but we'd be lying to everybody. That's probably rude. He did show at the end of the season that he could fill it up, but I'd like to see him do that against better teams. I feel like he took he did it against the Mavs and the Wizards, and it's like, okay, you're front running a little bit, buddy. But like, I think he's got a lot more to prove before he could be our Sixth Man of the Year. Sexton did really well in that role, and I think that you could give him that award. And same for Leonard Miller. But honestly, it's going to be kind of hard to not give this to. It just depends, I guess. Do you see Trey Jones as more of a starter? Because he did start a lot this season, and I don't know if that matters in terms of who we're selecting for Sixth Man of the Year. But Trey Jones was the best player on this list for us consistently. But a lot of those great games did come from a starting role. So You really could make the argument that, I mean, even Leonard Miller, a lot of his best performances came as a starter. So you could make the argument easily that Colin Sexton was actually the best sixth man, the best player off the bench throughout the Bulls season. I mean, he came off the bench all to end the year, I think, every game except for maybe the last few without Giddey. And he consistently filled it up. It was dropping, 20-point games consistently. I mean, to me, he was a more consistent Bull than Kobe White was this season for us. The statistics, I think, say that Kobe scored a little more than him, but like there was a stretch of time where Colin Sexton was coming off the bench and dropping 20-plus points like every single night. And we weren't getting that from Kobe earlier in the year in the starting role. So I like what Sexton brought off the bench. And if we bring him back, I hope it is to be the sixth man. I think that is the ideal position for Colin Sexton. So I think I've talked myself into saying that Colin Sexton was our Sixth Man of the Year. What say you?
Okay, first of all, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
What position does Trey Jones play?
Point guard.
Point guard. Who is the Chicago Bulls' starting point guard?
Josh Giddey.
So therefore, Trey Jones is a bench point guard for the Chicago Bulls.
He did play a lot of shooting guard for us, though, but it was in the starting lineup.
He did, but I'm just you're asking for credentials as to what qualifies him for a sixth man. Mm-hmm. If you aren't the starting player at your position, then you are a bench player.
That's
essentially.
Fair. And if that's the way we're going to look at it, then I think Trey Jones then would be the pick because he was consistently the best player off of our bench all season long. So.
Right. And the reason why I made that point was because my vote goes for Trey Jones. Now, you made a great, very, very valid, very strong case for Colin Sexton, and you almost swayed me. Mm-hmm. But then I did that little bit of mental gymnastics in my own head of Trey Jones plays the same position as Josh Giddey, therefore he is not our starting point guard. And under those rules and that stipulation, for me, Trey Jones from start to finish across an entire season was phenomenal this year. Really, he was brilliant and just got progressively stronger and progressively better as the season continued. So for me, Trey Jones gets my sixth man of the year vote.
Sounds good, man. I like it. We'll ride with it.
Awesome.
So
So the last little one, go on, and I'll let you take the last one. Go for it.
So the last category that we had isn't so much of an award as it is out of all of these players, there's a lot that are not under contract, going in the next season. And so Neill and I wanted to talk about out of all of these players that are expiring for the Bulls, which Bull would you most want to keep? And so we limited ourselves to 4 options, and we have Colin Sexton, Anthony Simons, Gershon Yabusele, and Nick Richards. So,
right.
Without further ado, I'll let you lead then. Who is your player to keep?
For me, this is a 2-horse race. Yabubu, shout out to Sal Bass for the Yabubu reference. Gershon Yabusele, yeah, thank you, but no thank you. You did enough. I think there's a good chance he does come back, and if he does, that's fine.
I do think there's a good chance he comes back, but
yeah,
I mean,
initially we thought he just wanted to go to Europe, but now he's saying that he wouldn't mind staying now that he has had court time and has enjoyed the system and everything in Chicago. I think he could very well come back to the Chicago Bulls.
I hope it's on the right deal, though. If that's the case,
yeah, exactly.
It's got to be
that's go on,
like 7 million maybe per year.
Yeah, I'd say a 2-year deal with a second year having a team option as well.
Yeah,
I could deal with that. Yeah, same.
It more than that though, like because Trey Jones is getting $8 million per year. Like that that is a steal of a contract, but just to give people an idea, like that's the level of play that gets you $8 million a year. An $8 million per year contract. So
Jones is on a particularly team-friendly contract though for his production.
Oh yeah.
So Yabusele, no, I'm not bothered about. Nick Richards, he's another one of those players. Look, if he came back, I'd be okay with it. If he doesn't come back, I'm okay with it. So I'm not going to select him either. So then it's between Sexton and Simons. Anthony Simons, I really liked what I saw from him in the short spell that we had him. He played so few games. We didn't get the opportunity to see him playing alongside Giddey. We didn't see enough of him playing with Mattis. And it's too much of an unknown quantity for me to select him. The young bull went out there and played his heart out, blue-collar style, Chicago-style basketball all the time when he was on the floor. Sometimes did he overcook it and do too much? Yeah, he did. Do I hate his rat's tail? Damn right I do. But would I pick him out of those 4 players as a player to keep? Yes, I would.
Yep. I think that you checked all the boxes that I would have too. So I agree. Like Nick Richards out of all of these, I think like Nick Richards, I would not mind back as our backup center. Like that would not bother me at all. Yabusele, like you said, I think he has a chance to come back. I think we'll see though. We have a new GM coming in. So we'll see. Yabusele sounds like he wants to return, but will the new GM care to have him back? I don't know. I honestly I just don't see a role for him. Like I like him as like the 11th, 12th, 13th man or something like that, but I just don't want to see him in the regular rotation next season. Out of all these guys, like Simons probably has the most talent and can probably give us the most potential, like the most back potentially, because that guy could really start for you. But overall, I think that I like Sexton. I think that he has played with the heart of a Chicago Bull. I feel like the way that he plays just lends itself to what Chicago likes from its athletes so much. That blue collar, like rugged style, like he's emotional, he gets after it. I just really like Colin Sexton as the sixth man of this team next season. Uh, I really like the potential of that. I think you can get him on a team friendly deal. I don't think that he's going to be particularly well or particularly highly sought after. So I think that will all lend itself to being like Simon's on to a counterpoint will, I think, cost more. So I just think for the cost effect, like if you're looking for someone that's cost effective and can fill a very important role on your team, I think Sexton is the guy for me.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so that brings us to the end of that section. So let's move on to the next one, which you may have forgotten or people may have forgotten. We did actually have some Chicago Bulls basketball at the start of this week. So,
Bull of the Week.
So we're here for our Bull of the Week. And so we had 4 games since me and Neil talked about the end of the season, last episode. And we went with the guy who we felt, obviously played the best over those 4 games. And that's Trey Jones. So, while Dallas, he did not play very well against the Mavs, he only had 6 points. How much of that is by design? Who knows? I mean, he only played 19 minutes. Definitely felt like Billy knew the assignment for that game. But in the other 3 games, which two of them were, we beat Washington twice. He dropped 20 against Washington, 20 and 9 against Washington the first time. Then he had 31, 6, 3, and 1 against Washington the second time. Then against the Magic, he went for 23 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists, which is probably the most impressive out of all those things. Considering that, we were playing a playoff team. Sorry, getting a phone call here. But, yes, considering all those things combined, I think that Trey Jones was our best player throughout that 4-game period. What say you?
yeah. No, I agree with you completely. Yeah, Trey Jones, for me, hands down, takes the player Bull of the Week. Yeah, without question. I mean, the games were tough to watch a lot of the time. And he was just the spark, the one thing that you could lean on each and every one of the games. So, yeah.
Love it. So
we will move on to our next segment, which is going to be a quick one, but we need to consider this on the season this time and not just for this week. So we are moving on to
This is war.
our Bannerman. And like I said, it's not Bannerman of the week. This is Bannerman of the season, seeing as this is our season review.
yes.
So what say you in regards to our person who has been the flag carrier and led us into battle?
So this is, I say this a little bit with grated teeth because, again, I just talked about how he's hard to watch offensively at times. But when you talk about a guy who just really, grinded it out all season, was really that unappreciated player that that does a lot to affect wins behind the scenes. He's not really, high. Like you said, he's the guy that really carries the banner for working hard. Being the, I'm missing the term right now, but just like that unheralded player that is important to success. And that person is Isaac Okoro for me. I think Isaac Okoro really, again, he drew the toughest assignment every single night. He, you can never say that he didn't give a lot of effort. You could tell he was always busting his ass. He always cared. I think that there's, obviously better players on the Bulls, but maybe not players that had to work as hard as him. I know that he probably led the team in minutes, if I had to guess. Or at least close to it. And again, drawing the toughest assignment every single night. Just, you know, behind the scenes doing, before the season even began, like he was like the flag carrier for physicality, if you remember. So I think Isaac Okoro, whether or not you feel like he is a player you want to keep, moving forward, it's not really, the point. The point is that he's, just been a grinder. He's been grinding all season long, unrecognized, and that's us here today, recognizing him for that grind. Do you
Yes.
agree?
I do. The only other player that I would put in there as part of the conversation, although I ultimately agree that it's Isaac Okoro, would be Jalen Smith. I think Jalen was another player who stepped up and put in the effort, put in the work, and could often be the one that would make a 3-point shot or make a play that kind of broke the back of whatever was happening on the floor that wasn't going well for the Bulls, and could turn things around that little bit by his grind. But yeah, no, all in all, I think Isaac Okoro is our Bannerman of the season.
Congratulations, Okoro. I never thought I'd actually be giving him like kudos at the end of the year. I can't lie, like watching him does drive me crazy at times because on offense he can be maddening, man.
Yeah.
Not very good of a shooter, can kind of be spastic with the ball. But if I could just bottle him up and only play him on defense, he'd be fantastic. And I do recognize that, like, you do need an Isaac Okoro on your team to win. I just don't know. I'd feel so much better about him if he was coming off the bench, I think, personally.
Which could happen.
Yeah, it could.
Which could happen
like,
going forward.
He's like a Keith Bogans or like a Ronnie Brewer, that kind of player.
Yeah. And you need those grindhouse kind of players. You do.
Yep, 100%. But
so
that'll take us into our go ahead.
No, all you.
I was gonna say because I'm gonna do the intro video for it, which is it brings us to our last segment, which we don't have a pre-packaged segment thing for this because it was just for the season, and it's our season review grades. So, season review grades.
I like it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I had one.
I like the way you projected as well. That's great.
Tried to be goofy as hell for it, so probably accomplished that goal. But so we're gonna give 3 grades that are our grades for the team, the coaching, and the front office. And so for the team, I'll let these are grades that we've already agreed to. So I'll let Neill break down the team and give my thoughts afterwards. So what is our team grade, Neill?
Okay, so before I do this, just to let everybody know, we will also be doing player grades, but we won't be doing them on this episode because it would just go too long. We will be doing them as kind of like a short variant going out over the course of the next week or so. So back to it then. So team grade then. Team grade is the highest grade that we have awarded out of the 3 grades for quite obvious reasons. I do think that there has been bright spots throughout the course of the season, particularly the likes of the 3 that have had multiple mentions throughout the awards there, which is Trey Jones, Matas Buzelis, and Josh Giddey. You take them out of it, you pop them into a box all on their own, and there has been stuff to enjoy. And then there's been things like the emergence of Leonard Miller, and there has been the performance of Colin Sexton, and those things lift the grade significantly compared to what they could have been. But then you have got the likes of Patrick Williams, who on his own could pull it through its arse. So that being said, the overall team grade that we decided upon, we've already talked about this, as Phil said, is we've gone for a C- as a team grade overall on the season. At points, like the first few games of the season, that would have been a damn sight higher. At other points, it would have been a damn sight lower. But that's kind of the average grade that we've come to across the course of the season.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, the team, they at times weren't built. I mean, the whole last part of the season, they weren't built to win. So it's hard to dock them at times for, being, for losing games when they were built to lose. So overall, you would have liked to see the team play better in some regards. So I think C- is more than fair. It's a shame that we couldn't keep up like how we started the season. Um, we started off just that 5-0 stretch feels so long ago, 6-1.
So long.
But there was, I think it's fair, especially when you say like we lost to too many bottom feeding teams. Like it'd be maybe different if we took care of business against teams that we were clearly better than, but too often we played down to our competition. And I think that's why you get docked down to a C-. But they also played good against teams that they had no business being better than, or beating at times. So overall, I think C- is more than fair.
Yeah, I think so too. So then the next subject the next grade that we went for was the coaching grade. Now, bear in mind, when we say coaching, we're not just talking about Billy Donovan. We're talking about the whole coaching team. So this is across the whole for the entirety of the season. So that being said, Phil, take it away and explain where we came to with our coaching grade.
So overall, it was just, again, I just brought up the fact that we did not, play up to par against teams. We were not consistent by any means this year. We played down to our competition a lot. We we had some maddening rotation choices at times. I mean, Patrick Williams got way too many minutes most of the season. Still, yeah. You could boo after every Patrick Williams mention, but
I know, right?
Overall, just it left a lot to be desired. It started, everything seemed to be starting well, but then throughout the season, just the different choices that coaching made, it just didn't always feel like, And then we also get to the midway point of the season, we're without Io. He's over in Minnesota, and he's talking about how Billy was restricting the mid-range. That kind of goes into it. Now we were starting to feel like the coaching was taking away from our players' ability to play their complete basketball games.
Yes.
So, when you sum all this stuff up, we came to a grade of D. And, we're probably being a little bit generous. I think that, we gave him a D. There were some nice things, there was some development on the team. We'll give him credit for that. But overall, just from top to bottom, just wasn't the greatest coaching job this year for the Bulls.
No, it wasn't. Certainly wasn't. And I think, like, what you were saying there about there are some things to credit them for, like the development of Madas Buzelis is certainly one of those things. Madas had to reinvent himself almost as the season went on. Now, he wasn't allowed to shoot mid-range shots, allegedly, which is not good. But his overall improvement, his overall development was pretty solid. So things like that have brought the grade up slightly. Not a lot, but a little. And I do think D is probably a little bit generous, but it's not. See, don't get caught up in the whole it's just Billy Donovan thing, because it's not. We're talking about the whole coaching team. And to have got this team that was a piecemeal squad, let's be blunt about it, from the trade deadline, to continue to play for one another and with one another the way that they did. And looking at the very last game of the season where Lockie Ulbrich got his triple-double, but they hadn't counted his final assist because it was an inbounds pass. And the whole team stood up and went to the scorer's table and fought for Lockie Ulbrich to get his triple-double to be recognised.
That was awesome.
That alone, that doesn't just come from the players. That is an ethos that is built within the organisation, coming from the coaching staff down. So things like that for me are why the grade is a little bit more generous than it perhaps should have been at a quick look, first glance. But when you actually break it down, I think D, maybe D- would be a fair grade.
Yeah, I mean, when you're not failing the coaching after they have a month that's the worst month in Bulls history, in February we didn't win a game, which has never happened before in Bulls history. So when you're not giving them an F, I think we're being generous. And yeah, we're giving them their just due for building a culture and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's also a results-oriented business, and the results just were not there. So
correct.
And now take us
to the
to
final
our
one.
Oh,
and this is a fun one. Sorry, I got in ahead of you there, Phil. This is a fun one. It's purely because I want to give you the floor to talk about it first, because I think you want to go there. And that is for the front office. So what grade did we come to for the front office, and why?
Oh, well, special. When we're talking grades for a front office that is, best known for their 4 letters, AKME, I gotta just say that it's an A+. Just kidding. Fuck you. It's an F. Spoiler alert. It's an F. It's an F for AKME. Look, man, the front office, they sucked. The trade deadline was an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment to us as fans. We had to put up with the fucking NBA world, doing, hitting the gritty on our faces and talking about how much of a laughing stock we were. And, people going on interviews left and right, talking about what they don't know what we're doing, this, and that. I will say that if we get the number 1 pick, that Brian Windhorst can, hit the treadmill instead of talking about our team so much, because that dude was talking about how it was too late to tank. And I think I know what he meant. Like, it's too late to get one of the top odds. But, like, it was not too late to, get, to make our odds lower. That's the only saving grace from the front office this season, is that they actually did pack it in probably at a good time so that we could get low enough to have a decent shot at number 4 and whatnot. But, overall, like, I thought that, besides that's not enough to get them out of F territory, because the Ayo Dosunmu trade, that was a F minus. It's actually a Z, Z for zebra, because that was like, they had the mind of a farm animal. That's not a farm animal, but you know where I'm going with this.
Been to?
Yeah, crazy ass farm, dude. But there might have been the mushrooms though. But yeah, so no, honestly though, these guys, they were bad. The trades were bad. We didn't get the value that we should have gotten. I can defend why Kobe didn't get a first round pick, but to be honest, he probably should have. Io definitely should have. I mean, when your best trade from the deadline is friggin' Dalen Terry for Yabusele, you probably didn't do a very good job. What's annoying is that they actually got back a guy in Leonard Miller that looks like he could be a part of the fabric of this team, but he came in the trade that probably shouldn't have happened, and that's the Io trade. No offense to Lenny Miller, but I'd give him back for Io. So, as long as we were going to re-sign him anyway. But that's still, overall, the front office sucked, and that's why they got fired. I mean, they also brought in the Jaden Ivey debacle, and whether or not that could have been prevented, I don't know if anybody could have seen that coming. But I mean, we probably should have sounded the warning alarms when they let us get a former top 5 pick for Kevin Huerter. So, overall, shit job. That's why they're canned. And that's a big old F. And I'll throw on a U at the end, too, because fuck you, AKME. And that's the grade that you get.
Absolutely. I doubled down on that entirely. Yeah, everything he said.
Nice. I love it. But that'll take us to the end of this episode of the 6th Banner Podcast, our season in review, rather. I know that we got started on this podcast about, a little bit later into the season, but we're excited to get into the offseason because this is the time of hope. And so I know me and Neill are excited to, expand our horizons in our segment ideas and everything like that for this offseason. So, just because the season's over doesn't mean that we're over. In fact, we're just getting started. So I hope that you guys will tune in with me and Neill for, the weeks to come and help us raise the banner.
Raise the banner.
One more time. But all right, you guys, appreciate all of you. And until next time, peace.